Are you struggling to make your podcast a sustainable marketing tool for your business? Meet Virginia Elder, founder of Podcast Abundance, which has helped more than 70 entrepreneurs create podcasts they're proud to share. In this episode, Virginia reveals why podcasting trumps traditional advertising, delivering up to 9% conversion rates compared to the industry average of just 1%. She breaks down realistic listener growth expectations, shares strategies to turn listeners into customers, and explains how to avoid the dreaded pod fade. Whether you're just starting out or hitting a podcast plateau, Virginia's insights on sustainability and long-term success are invaluable. Don't miss this chance to transform your podcast from a time-consuming hobby into a powerful business asset. Hello, incurable creators. I'm excited to bring you some bonus episodes featuring exclusive interviews from the 2023 PodUp Virtual Podcasting Summit. Each Thursday for months, you're going to hear interviews from a diverse range of podcasting and marketing experts. My hope is these repurposed interviews will inspire you with new ideas and insights to take your podcast to the next level. And of course, remember to listen every Tuesday for our regular episodes of Podcasting Secrets as well. Now, let's dive into today's bonus interview from PodUp's 2013 Podcasting Summit. Hello, I'm Nathan Gwilliam, the founder and CEO of PodUp and your host for the Podcasting Summit. Thanks for joining me for this interview with Virginia Elder. Virginia is the founder of Podcast Abundance, which a company that focuses on helping entrepreneurs to create podcasts that they're proud to share. Virginia has helped more than 70 different business owners to successfully create their online presences with podcasts. Thank you so much for joining us, Virginia.
Thank you for having me. It's fantastic.
Virginia, can you start off by sharing with us your journey to become a podcasting expert?
This whole journey started in about 2018, 2019. I wanted to help women with their finances. I've always been in the finance space. I had 2 little kids. We were dealing with the whole, diapers and daycare conundrum with the budget. And I wanted to start a show helping other moms deal with that successfully. Very shortly after that, I went to a financial conference and had several other financial service-based business owners say, "Oh, you launched a show? You should launch mine." That wasn't the intention at all. But the business very quickly took that turn. And so here we are 4 years later, and all I do is launch, edit, and manage other people's shows for them so that they can remain forward-facing, client-facing, being the sounding voice of their business. So that I take care of all the back end stuff that they don't have to worry about.
Can you share with us maybe a case study of a business that's been successful you've been able to help in their podcasting journey?
There is a CPA that came to me, I think it was in 2021, and they had started their show already. So that wasn't a launch story for you. They had already gotten on their feet, had things rolling. And internally in their team, they were managing their own YouTube channel, podcast, and all their marketing. And when I met the owner and partner, they were very, very, very stressed. And they were at that point where they're like, we're either going to quit or we need help. And I looked at they had over 100 episodes already. They were doing so well, building a serious audience. And the last thing I want them to do at that point is quit, because 100 episodes in the podcast space is quite an accomplishment. If you're doing a weekly show, that's about 2 years of podcasting. You don't want to give that up. And he would say, yes, I've gotten clients from my show. Yes, this is great, but it is so challenging to manage all the moving parts. So, of course, we talked and we've worked things out. And here we are. I think he's about to hit episode 250 very, very soon. And he's continuing to grow and even has time now to explore other avenues of life and business. He's open to other businesses. He does fun things at a comedy shop on the weekends. So I really appreciate that we were able to help him keep going, but then B, that he actually has free time and free mental space to be able to enjoy some more fun things in life.
So in a nutshell, you help podcasters run their podcasts so they can run their businesses and have a balanced life.
I think one of the hardest parts as a business owner is to step away sometimes and when you get bogged down doing all of this nitty gritty software detail, connect this to that, communicating all the moving parts and just dealing with all that, you are bogged down. And I think it's the business owner's journey towards stepping into those CEO shoes so that they can really have mental space, free time, because that's when your best ideas come. It's when you're walking the dog or out at the park or doing something. So if you're needing to make big, directional decisions in your business, you need that free time. You don't need to be stuck behind a computer, ticking and tacking and dealing with different software and EQ levels. And
So when you and I did the pre-call, I was fascinated with one of the concepts we discussed, which was podcasting as a marketing strategy, as opposed to some of the maybe a little older school strategies like paid ads. Can you talk to us a little bit more about this strategy and why podcasting might be more effective?
And as a business owner, this is where I ask people to consider marketing costs. On average, businesses can spend, especially small businesses, typically spend 2 to 5% or even up to 10% of their revenue on marketing. So if you are bringing in $250,000 a year in revenue, you're spending up to $2,500 a month on marketing. So what is that marketing doing for you? Whether it's a billboard, a Facebook ad, a Google ad, whatever it is, the second you stop paying for that and the second you take that down, nobody can find you anymore. That's it. That billboard's gone. That Facebook ad, oh, where was that? I'm trying to scroll. Where was that ad that I saw that I wanted to click on? Too late. They took it down. Whereas with podcasting, these episodes live out there as long as you keep them online, whether they're on your website or you're actually, have posted them through a podcast host and they're syndicated out to all the podcast apps. That will live as long as you keep it up there. So you create content once and it lives forever, which is such a better use of our money as business owners.
So you're talking about podcasting as a sustainable, recurring marketing strategy instead of maybe a flash in the pan, get rich quick marketing strategy.
Absolutely.
If podcasting is more of a sustainable, recurring marketing strategy as opposed to a flash in the pan, get rich quick marketing strategy, based on some clients that you've had in the past, what are some realistic listener numbers and conversion rates that businesses might expect if they go this direction? And I realize every business is different and we have to do quality podcasts or nobody's going to want to listen to us, but maybe just give us some rough numbers.
Now, the trick with podcasting, I think, is that we are such a instant gratification society, right? So we want to buy something and we want it delivered on our doorstep the next day. Sometimes with marketing, that may work. But in general, when we talk about marketing across the span of every avenue in which you could be marketing your business, the industry average is around a 1% conversion rate. So, however many people see the ad, 1% of them are probably going to buy. Well, with podcasting, there are reports of up to a 9% conversion rate. So when we're talking about how many episodes you've produced and how long you've kind of been in the game, there is definitely like a progression that we're going toward. So when you are looking at someone with, say, less than 30 episodes, it's pretty normal to have all-time download numbers under 2,400, let's say. So you might have 10 episodes out there and you might say, oh, well, I only have 500 all-time downloads. Okay, but when you break that down, you got 10 episodes. That's it. So maybe like 10 weeks apart of marketing, through your podcast. If you look, let's say you have 15 of those downloads in the past 30 days. Well, if you're looking at a 1% conversion rate, that's 0.02 people that are going to buy. So probably not making a sale yet, right? But then when you continue to go, right? We're not just going to produce 10 episodes. We're going to produce 30, 40, 50, 100, right? We're going to just keep going. When you hit around, I'm going to say close to the 50 episode mark, that's when you can start to really see some amazing hockey stick growth in general. Okay. Just like Nathan said, this is, all businesses are different. So you may see traction earlier, you may see traction a little bit later, but in general, the game is just to keep going, because when you hit around that 50 episode mark, you can start to see download numbers up closer to that 10,000 mark. So all-time downloads is what I'm looking at. And these are real client numbers I'm sharing with you. So at that point, 10,000 all-time downloads, you look at last 30 days or so, and we're seeing, 200, 300 people that have listened to the show within the past 30 days. That is 2 or 3 clients right there. Not always, again, but potential, right? If 300 people listen to my show within the past 30 days, 1% conversion rate, that's 3 potential clients or 3 people that have at least reached out, booked a call, whatever it is. You accelerate beyond that and you get past the 60 mark, more towards 70, 100. I mean, that's where you really start to see things pick up. And it feels like such a slow slog at the beginning. You've got 500 downloads, 1,000, 2,000, and then all of a sudden you've got 10,000 potentially around the 50 mark, 15,000 potentially around the 70 episode mark. And from there, it keeps going. And your 30-day download numbers continue to accelerate there as well. So when we're thinking about listeners, conversion rate, how many potential clients I can get from properly marketing my business via a podcast, the chart isn't like this straight line. It's going to go slow at the beginning, kind of flat, and then it's going to start to take off. And that's where you see people that have 200 episodes in the bag. Yeah, their numbers are huge. Yes, they have a huge following, but it's because there was that much time, maybe 2 years, 3 years, maybe longer, of building that library of helpful resources about your business. Now people can find you. Now they can find any subject about your business, answer almost any question just by searching in their podcast app for your show for different episodes. And now that's where you start to see that growth. So this is a long-term marketing plan, but as far as conversion, I think we're seeing the best numbers possible in this space.
So it's a numbers game, and it's an endurance game. It's not a sprint, it's an endurance race. So there's more to marketing a podcast than just getting a mic and recording episodes. What strategies best drive podcast listeners towards becoming paying customers?
As you think about creating a podcast, I'm going to assume that you're also a podcast listener, and you probably have a favorite host. And you're seeing that you probably can't just reach out directly to that host via your podcast app. It's probably going to be, maybe they shared an email on their one of their episodes. Maybe they have invited you to follow them on Instagram and you're supposed to DM them. Or maybe they have a free download, which is an amazing thing that you just can't help but go download right away. And if you notice, they're offering you something of value in exchange for your name and email address. So this is where the whole conversation starts about building an email list. So this is one of the most simple and most reliable ways to pull listeners into your business ecosystem. Yes, you want them on the app listening to your show, but you also want to give them another comfortable touch point place where they can go, follow you and find you and get whatever they need. That's going to be your email subscriber platform. So ConvertKit, ActiveCampaign, MailChimp, I mean, there's a million of them. Pick the one that works for you, for your business, and you have a free download for your clients. You're going to ask them to download that in exchange for their email. And then guess what? You can share about your business journey. You can share about sales. You can share about upcoming events. You can say, hey, I'm going to go be at Podcast Movement. come find me and meet me, whatever you need to do. And a key there is in your episodes having a singular, very focused, intentional call to action. And that call to action being, hey, I created this free resource. Obviously it's something that helps them solve a quick problem that relates to your business. And they can go download that. And once you have that information, then you're able to nurture them. And of course, like, some people are like, oh, I don't have a call to action in my episodes because I don't want to sound salesy. I don't want to be, bugging them to do this thing. And I will tell you, most listeners want to take the next step with you. They are waiting for you to offer them the thing that's going to take that relationship further. So if that's a free PDF that you can create in Canva, and you set it up through your email service provider, they will be excited to get it. Just ask. You don't have to be salesy or convince them to download it. But you have that one very focused call to action. I'm going to say put it in the first 20% of your episode. Hey, I built this awesome resource for you. Go download it. Here's the link. And in exchange for their email address, you have this opportunity to nurture them so they can get to know your values. You can entertain them. You can inform them about your services. And they will decide, okay, I'm going to buy, or this isn't for me. And that's okay. You need people to make that decision, and not everyone is going to go all in, but a good percentage will.
What would you say is the number one most important rule for business owners when it comes to podcasting?
So I'm going to share this from the experience of having to help someone clean up the mess. And it's not just been one business owner, and it's not just been on one topic. So this can apply to podcasting. This can apply to your email list or your website or any of these kind of business assets. And the number one rule for all business owners is going to be own your stuff, own your domain, have the username and passwords to all your things, have your podcast episodes, the raw episodes and your edited pieces, make sure you have access to all of them and that you own that access. So that, and I think we hear this a lot of times when it comes to like Facebook or Instagram, social media, like they can lock your account or shut it down, or the whole company can disappear. And what happens to all those posts and all that audience that you've spent so much time building on that platform? Goes up in smoke, right? So when you have your domain, your .com, your email list, all of this stuff, and you own it and you have access to it at all times, you've secured your, it's like your own insurance, basically. Now, I'm sharing this because podcasters have come to me and they want me to take over their show and help them start editing and managing, whatever. And, oh, I don't know my login. Oh, I don't know where that file is. Oh, I don't have my original music. And it's this kerfuffle, just like a mess, right? And believe it or not, this has happened with QuickBooks accounts for finances. Of course, that's not me, but I do a lot of financial shows, so I've heard that same thing. So as a business owner, make sure you can get into all of your assets. And I've also faced this front and center with customers' websites. They'll ask me to, build a page, add the podcast on there because they already have an existing business, yet they don't know how to get into their website. So I'm sure you can tell that would be a big security issue. As the owner, that would be a big challenge. And I'm not saying you can't have people helping you with these things, but that's where you need to retain the ownership and you're sharing it out. Maybe you share the username and password with LastPass or one of these other like password keeper programs, but you need to be the owner of all of your business assets, including your podcast.
One of my consulting clients years ago, he ran a small business and had a social media manager running his social channels, and the social channels got set up, or at least got changed to have the email address of the social media manager, not his email address on them. And he had a falling out with the social media manager, and they had parted ways on bad terms. The social media manager, I don't think, ever talked to him again. and he was never able to get control of his social media accounts again. So they were there, sitting there with his name on them. He was never able to post to him again, never able to respond to the messages. So yes, what Virginia's saying here is so true. You've got to own everything, from the domain name to the accounts to all the software that you sign up for, all the systems you use to back everything up. They have to be in your name. You have to have access to them, and then you can share them with other people if you want, but you have to be the owner. Okay, there's a term that's been going around lately. It's called pod fade. What is that, and how do we avoid it?
I'm going to describe pod fade as, and maybe you had a friend like this too. This instantly takes me back to this friend I had in college where you go to an event, go to a party, whatever, and you see him. Okay, we're all here, we're all around. And after a while, you're like, I haven't seen so-and-so in a while. Have you seen him? Have you seen him? No, I don't know. Well, buys were really uncomfortable for him. So he would just ghost the party. And that's what pod fade is. For business owners, it's generally not an on purpose, like, I'm just not going to say bye. I'm just going to go. But typically, it comes with overwhelm. You start a show, you're excited about it. Very quickly, let's say by episode 10, which is super common, you get overwhelmed. You feel like, I don't know what to say on my next episode, or I'm bogged down with editing, or man, I'm supposed to talk about something this week and I don't know what to say. And gosh, I got to record tomorrow because it's supposed to go up the next day. And so you get that pressure. So pod fade is leaving the party without actually announcing it or saying bye. It's different if you're doing seasons in your podcast and you say, okay, we've done 10 episodes. This is the end of this season. I'll see you again in 2 months. Whatever it is, right? You can do that on purpose. But when you ghost the party just because you got overwhelmed, or maybe even a lot of times your last episode sounded normal, sounded like you were coming back with another one the next week or in 2 weeks, and you just couldn't do it. Now, the two most common spots, I kind of mentioned it already. The first one is right around between 3 and 7 episodes. So that's right around after you launched and within a month or two of podcasting. So that kind of highlights the statistic that we see around, yes, there are 2 million podcasts that have been created, but only about 500,000 of them are active. So active means more than 10 episodes, and they've produced one within the past 10 days. You want to remain active, obviously, so that people can find you and you're building that library of content around your business. The second big pod fade mark is around 50 episodes. So you're probably thinking like, God, 50 episodes, like that's great. That's a huge accomplishment. Why would you quit then? I mean, you think you've got a solid workflow, you have everything going, you did 50 episodes. That's huge. It is. But if you think about it, 50 episodes is about a year of producing a podcast every single week. So this goes back to what we talked about before, how we love those quick results. And podcasting may or may not deliver those results that fast. They will in the long run, but a lot of times around 50 is when somebody says, okay, I've been doing this a year. What have I gotten out of it? What am I, do I still like this? What am I doing? Is it bringing me clients yet? And the trick, again, is to realize going in that you're playing a long-term game. You're creating long-term content for people to find years from now, because you've created it once. Why not keep it up for years going forward? Now, it can feel lonely at times because just like Nathan and I are both just alone in our offices, hundreds of miles apart, when you're podcasting by yourself, you're probably alone in your office or talking to somebody on video. And sometimes that's hard to maintain. But if you know about these challenges going in, you can arrange meetups and stay active in conferences and online and create that community of other podcasters that are there, of other business owners that are creating a podcast even. so that at that point, even at the 1 year mark, you don't feel alone and you continue to know the stats going forward that, hey, maybe it's slow right now, but I am going somewhere. So don't ghost the party.
Most of the podcast platforms don't give us any way to engage with our followers, really, other than maybe some reviews. But how do you recommend that we get feedback and interaction from our listeners? What are the best ways?
This can be done so many different ways, and I'm sure you've heard many of them. A lot of people are encouraging listeners to follow them on social media and send me a DM, comment on this episode, or, all of those kind of social media related calls to action. The, again, best call to action, I think, for a business owner is to encourage someone to subscribe to your email list. That can be because you're providing ton of value in a newsletter. So they're literally just signing up to hear from you in their inbox. That could be because of that free PDF. But once someone joins your email list, they've given you permission to reach out to them. So even if that's occasionally, I'll have an email subscriber just hit reply, and I'll encourage that in my emails. And just, hey, if you want more Instagram tips about podcasting, hit reply and let me know what your challenge is, what you're facing. Just little things like that. So some listener apps do, most don't. So that's why on the podcast app, that might be where they're getting the information. But you kind of want to train your audience to communicate with you on a different platform. So it depends on how you do business. Some businesses do business all day on Instagram. Other businesses, it needs to be on a website, on your email. That goes back to owning your own stuff. I'm sure you could start to see this circle happening here.
We see these top 100 lists, and a lot of podcasters dream about getting on those top 100 lists. What does it take to actually start showing up on some of those top 100 lists?
Some recent stats came out around those people on the top 100 list, and most of them have an average episode count of about 200 episodes. So showing up consistently is a big deal. I don't like the word consistency, but that's said everywhere in this industry, right? You can't say, oh, you can't make it if you're not going to be consistent. Okay.
What do you like better than consistency?
I encourage people to create their show from the beginning with sustainability in mind. And this goes back to the business owner mindset. So as a business owner, you're thinking like, okay, I'm already busy and I really want to do this podcasting thing. And it's cool. I like listening to podcasts. I want to share my message that way. But how on earth am I going to take on this entirely additional marketing endeavor while also running my business, right? So from the beginning, that's where I'm encouraging people to, for one, think about your show structure. That needs to be sustainable for you. So if you don't have time to record an hour show, don't make that happen, right? Set up your show from the beginning that we're going to do bite-sized episodes maybe, or we're going to do 20-minute episodes. At the same time, if it makes you nervous to do interviews, don't decide that you're going to do an interview show. Maybe at first you're just teaching and talking, sharing about your passion, your purpose, your journey, the solution that your business provides, and how you help people. Those are easy to just hop on the mic. You're alone. Nobody's looking at you, right? Just share that message, quick 15, 20 minutes. There you go. You have time to complicate things. You can make it more complicated. You could introduce more segments. You can decide you're going to do an interview whenever you want. So from the beginning, work in sustainability into the way you design your show. And then the other piece of sustainability is your personal time and your personal workflow. So I recommend batching, whether you're scripting your episodes, okay, batch, script a few episodes. Or if you're recording, if you're doing interviews, set them up back to back. Do what you can to kind of knock out a batch all at once and create that sustainability with in mind, hey, I want to make it to 200 episodes because I want to make it in that top 100 list. You've got to start the game with the end in mind.
Virginia, thank you for sharing so much value with us in this interview. Thanks for sharing your time and your wisdom. If our audience would like to know more about your services, what are the best ways for them to do that?
Everyone can find me at podcastabundance.com. I'm also very active on Instagram at podcastabundance. And then you can find me on LinkedIn at Coach Virginia Elder.
And for those of you who are listening or watching to this interview, if you have not yet checked out the VIP upgrade package for the summit, it's completely free. There's 4 super awesome bonuses, like a 30-day license to Pod Up and a 7-day challenge course. I encourage you to click on the link below this video so you can learn more about it. And I wish you all success as you leverage podcasting or continue to leverage podcasting as a marketing strategy for your business. Here are my key takeaways from this episode. Number 1, podcasting can be a more effective marketing strategy than traditional advertising, with conversion rates up to 9% compared to the industry average of just 1%. Number 2, podcasting is a long-term sustainable marketing strategy that creates evergreen content, unlike temporary ads or billboards. Podcasting growth typically follows a hockey stick curve, with significant traction often occurring around the 50-episode mark. Number 4, building an email list is crucial for converting podcast listeners into customers and nurturing relationships with your audience. Number 5, the number 1 rule for business owners in podcasting is to own and maintain control of all your assets, including your domain names, accounts, content, website. Number 6, pod phase is a common issue where podcasters stop producing episodes due to overwhelm, often occurring around episodes 3 through 7 or near the 50-episode mark. Number 7, sustainability is key to long-term podcasting success, which involves creating a show structure and overflow that fits your lifestyle and business. Number 8, podcasting as a marketing tool requires patience. It may take 200 or more episodes to reach top 100 lists. Number 9, batching content creation, scripting, recording, and interviewing can help maintain a sustainable podcasting workflow. And finally, number 10, offering valuable free resources like PDFs in exchange for email addresses is an effective way to build your list and nurture potential customers through your podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I wish you success with your podcast. And if you're looking for a great podcasting platform, I recommend you check out our Pod Up podcasting platform. It has 35 integrated modules to help you create, grow, and monetize your platform. And you can get a free trial at podup.com.